Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Bodhi Bros, where we embrace the darkness, we embrace the light, and we embrace all the delicious stuff in between. We are not the enlightened two, the enlightened brothers. We're the Bodhi Bros, which to us means we're constantly waking up every day to a new level of self-awareness. We love Bodhi leaves, we love Bodhi trees. Shit, we both love Bodhi beads. So, without any further ado, here's my co-host.
I'm Bodhi Ray,
And
today we have Morgue, the controversial Morgue. Are you living in a reality tunnel? John, are you living in a reality tunnel?
am I living a reality? I feel like this show is a reality tunnel shatterer, a deconstructor of reality tunnels. Am I in a reality tunnel? I got so much to say about this subject, but I really don't have much to say at all, if that makes any sense. What an episode, folks! And Ray, tell us why you may have picked this. This is episode 10. By the way, a quick thanks and shout out to all of our new YouTube subscribers, 82 strong. Thank you, team. We're building every week. Please like this video. Please share this video. No one else will see it in the universe if you don't like and share. Ring that little gray bell so you get notifications to our new videos. Subscribe. Sharing is caring. Ray, why did you pick Morgue in this video?
Well, I thought he was an interesting character. He has some interesting perspectives. I've watched videos of his before. I've never seen this one up until, I picked it for this episode. There were a lot of stuff I do agree with, like some of the stuff he says in some of his videos. There's some stuff I disagree with too, but it's always good to have a different perspective on things.
So you felt it's Morgue time.
It's more of time, yeah. Let's do somebody different. Let's do somebody outside the box.
And when we first
he's
started,
definitely outside the box.
Yes, he seems like a box blower upper, if you will, and I like that. I dig that. I dig non-box conformists for sure. When we first started chatting about this podcast and stuff, and we talked about different teachers, he's one that came up in conversation, and I think you passed me a video or two, and I watched one, and I was into him, man. I was like, all right, liked his look, I liked his on-camera charismatic presence, and he flowed with his language, very passionate and stuff. And I don't remember the specific video. If you remember, we can include that in the one down below.
Not really.
Right. I mean, that's going to be tough, but I might be able to look back through my history and find it, because I thought it was a pretty good one. And I will say that this wasn't my first Morgue video, but you introduced me to him. But watching this one, I was like, kind of like the Ralph Smart one the other week. Like, I dig Ralph, but it wasn't my favorite. This made me want to watch some more, like the Ralph Smart video did. This made me want to watch some more Morgue. Like, I'm not giving up on the guy. I'm not like, this isn't for me. But I just seriously ran out of time. I wanted to watch a few Morgue videos before our podcast, but it didn't happen. But it's on the docket of things to do.
Yeah, this video was okay. I get what he was saying. Basically saying, are you living in a reality tunnel? Which is sort of like a matrix, like a bubble that we all live in, a subjective bubble of our paradigms of what we believe in about ourselves, what we believe in about the world, and that we filter our reality through this tunnel, this film of our experiences and our fears, our desires, our opinions. So it doesn't make sense, and he says how this is the major conflict going on, is that everybody's in the subjective world, the subjective bubble or tunnel, he calls it, and we can't see eye to eye with everything because everybody's looking at it from a unique perspective, and we can't find common ground. And it's very true. I think a lot of this deals with people who have not had awakening experiences, because really what awakening is, what spiritual awakening is when that reality tunnel disappears, when it goes away for at least even maybe for a second or two. That's really what awakening is experiencing yourself, experiencing the world outside of the story we tell ourselves about ourselves in the world. And that's actually what we wake up from, is that tunnel, that filter of me that we interpret the world through. So really that's what awakening is. But the problem is with awakening is we have that moment where our reality tunnel disappears temporarily, but then it usually ends up coming back. And then a lot of us spend a lot of time trying to get our way back out of that, which really just kind of makes it even stronger, because we end up resisting the reality tunnel because we're trying to get out of it. And the more you resist it, the stronger it is. So that's kind of my take on it.
It's quite a thorough and well versed take, I think. I kept hearing certain things when I watched this the first time, and a lot of it was like, but you think tunnel, so blinders, right? Everyone's just walking around with their blinders and they're la 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 la, like I'm not listening to you, la 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 la, like this is my world, this is the way I see things. And just like he said, programmed from birth, like this is how I was raised, this, and your trauma does that to you too. You're like, oh, this is how I stay safe. This is how I stay safe. I stay in this lane. I stay in my lane. If this happens, or if the tunnel starts crumbling and I start seeing too many things, too much, can't handle it. La 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 la, right? La.
It's like a comfort zone.
Yeah.
It's like a comfort zone, sort of. Yeah.
And I also could not escape, and quite wonderfully, because we've talked about this in other episodes, how it's all connected and how the different disciplines, whether they're spiritual, psychological, motivational, whatever, all seem to be interconnected in one wonderful way. And what I kept hearing was this term that was introduced to me by a very dear friend not too long ago, called spiral dynamics. Are you familiar with spiral dynamics?
I'm not.
It is going to be very difficult for me to explain in a short period of time. So what I will do is I will say, I'm going to drop a link to a wonderful video that explains it. It is about an hour long, but if you're into learning new perspectives and connecting all the dots, it's a winner. But to sum it up, I would say that it's a personal and collective awareness development model. So personal, you or me, the way we look at the world, and or organizations, the way like religions look at the world or governing bodies look at the world. And imagine like a funnel, kind of sounds like
tunnel.
I was going to say reality, but I think you're closer to the. I'm just kidding. kidding. So, right. So I keep hearing spiral dynamics. So imagine like this cone, right? And at the top sits the color turquoise. At the bottom sits the color beige. And there's an array of different colors in between. And each level, there's 8 levels of consciousness. And we all start off at the bottom of the beige. And the goal, I guess, air quotes, is to elevate ourselves to turquoise. And a lot of us, will identify, we're like, oh, I'm green or I'm orange when you look at the characteristics on each level of this dynamic, right? But usually we're one step below that where we think which we are. And what the key points here is how it relates to reality tunnels is that if we're all in these certain colors, we don't necessarily, unless we're open to it and understand and are aware of it, if someone's operating in blue and you're living in a green world or a blue tunnel or a green tunnel, your languages don't mix well.
Right.
Unless you're open to hearing the blue language and listening to the blue tunnel in the funnel, the spiral dynamics. So it was a really interesting way to understand that we're all different place. Blue's not better than orange, isn't better than green. Just because you're one level higher than someone else doesn't mean you're better than them or anything like that. It's not a competition, but just really, it was at first I was very resistant to it. I'm like, all right, here we're segregating groups by color, fantastic, right? Come on
Yeah.
now. But I mean, you have to have a way to illustrate these differences. And this wasn't about ethnicity or anything like that. This was just about, where.
So it's basically just like levels of consciousness in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of it made really good sense. So something to consider, drop it in the link, Spiral Dynamics, and how, if you're interested in further, getting archaeological on this reality tunnel business, I want to dive a little deeper down the hole, check it out. Good stuff.
Yeah. A lot of this too reminds me of, cognitive dissonance, where you get be so identified with your beliefs and it becomes so strong that anything that challenges that belief becomes a challenge to your identity. And you take it personal. You become so angry or emotional or triggered basically by other things that conflict with your beliefs, because you're so tied to that. And it's really easy to see that in religion and politics, even what's going on now in the world with the mask and not wearing masks and all this other stuff going on, and a lot of division going on right now. So the only part that to me would seem kind of weird was when he said how the commonality between of all these reality tunnels uses mathematics. And while I agree, it is true, you can't argue 2 + 2 = 4, 3 + 3 = 6. That is a common denominator, common ground. The thing with Morgue is that he's very based in mind, trying to get minds together, when there's a whole other dimension beyond mind that unites us all, and that's the heart. And he kind of neglects the heart. He stays up here in the mind, and mathematics is the common thing, and yeah, that's true. But what are you going to do with that? We all going to sit and do long division together? I don't know. I don't know where you go with that.
Right.
Where there is a higher level, and that is the heart, and that's basically the dimension that I live in, is the heart. I use the heart as my guru. I live through the heart as the master, and I use my mind as becomes the servant. Is it always that way 100% of the time, 24 hours a day? Hell no. Mm-hmm. I get triggered and I get going to my mind, and something happens and I get pulled out of my heart, and I get angry and I get sad, I get depressed like everybody else. But I don't fight it. I allow it. I go into that stuff. I let it show me what it needs to show me. Sometimes there's work that needs to be done. And then what I do is I drop back into my feelings. Sometimes I use the breath as a bridge to go from the mind to the heart. And I notice that once I go into my feelings and I allow my feelings to be there, eventually I drop back into the heart. I drop back into my heart space. And when I'm in my heart, I love everyone. I love everyone as a part of me. There is no us and them. There's only just one. So to me, that's a higher level of going into oneness and going to unity, is living from the heart, not so much the mind. Because the mind is always dualistic. The mind always keeps everything separate. They say when you see a bird for the first time, and someone tells you it's a bird, you no longer see a bird anymore. You see it as a concept. You see, oh, that's a hawk, that's an eagle, that's an owl. You're no longer seeing it how you did for the first time. So the mind always kind of creates that concept, that duality. So to me, it's a lot better to just to live from the heart and make that your practice. Try to live from there.
So you are a student of what we've been toying around with, the phrase that may one day become a T-shirt from the Bodhi Bros merch store, if we ever have one. You would say you're a student of Guru YO University, correct?
Sure.
So your best teacher resides right in the middle of your chest, is what you're saying.
Yes, exactly. That connects you to the universe, that connects you to higher levels of consciousness, to source, or God, or whatever you want to whatever you want to call it.
We wouldn't
Um,
we wouldn't have a show here if we weren't open to all the teachers and the teachings and the people that are putting out great content in general, whatever they're from their tunnels, so to speak.
right,
um, but as far as that word guru, that people seem to have very much a sensitivity to these days, we're trying to comically but seriously transform it into a way to bring focus to that number one teacher, and as Ray so eloquently put, your heart. um, Maybe the first place to um, consult when seeking wisdom. Um,
right,
so tracking back a little bit with what you said about math and Morgue, I'm interested to see if this is a recurring theme, and you might already know this in his other videos, if he's always coming from a place of the mind, or if he does open the heart space from time to time and integrate the two. Um, but like I'm always, as it pertains to the reality tunnel, so his reality tunnel might be very much grounded in mathematics, right? So
right.
his love language, not the common understanding of what love languages are now. Like I'm a gifts person, I'm a touch person, I'm a words of affirmation, not that love language, but like poetry. So Morg's poetry is like mathematics, right? And
Right.
I relate to this in a sense that my brother is very much this way. And when he and I have some deep conversation and his passions open up and he talks about mathematics or physics as it pertains to his world and the world around us, it's fucking beautiful, man. A lot of it I can't even understand on the mathematical or the physics level of the whole equation, right? In the grand scheme of things. But it's so fucking wonderful to listen to him speak his poetry, and very, very complex things, for lack of a better word in the moment, become very, very clear when someone with such passion and dedication to a specific art and a way of seeing the world that so seamlessly spills out of him paints such vivid pictures for me. And I sat like just one on a trip that we took up north together, a bro trip, if you will, and just the two of us just sat across the table from him in a coffee shop, just astounded and listening to the poetry come out. And then he's like, "What's wrong?" And I'm like, "Dude, just the words that are coming out of your mouth." Like he introduced me to a whole other world where a lot of times maybe if I heard a conversation or someone was trying to talk to me in that language, I might be dismissive or be like, "I don't know what, dude, you're speaking a different, I can't understand what you're saying. Come back down here." But in that moment, allowing it and being on this brother trip and just being open to his tunnel, right?
Yeah.
So I opened myself to his tunnel. It really just it created pathways to a whole different universe for me. So I'm interested in doing that with Morgue, I think, a little deeper and seeing, because I really I dig his, just, I keep saying the same word. I dig his passion.
Yeah, I like Morgue. I like a lot of stuff he says from other videos. He has a lot of hate towards organized religion. I know that much. I think he did a video recently about why God doesn't exist. And he talks about that in this video, why the fundamental Christian God doesn't exist.
Yes.
I
He
think a
said
lot
he
of
said
his
he proved he
religious
said
outfit.
he said he proved that it doesn't exist.
Right, he
I was
proved.
like, man, it's pretty bold. Hey, kudos to you
Right.
for making that proclamation. I did not watch
So he
that
does
video.
have a I haven't watched that either. He does have a lot of unique perspectives, and I honor that, and I do enjoy his passion and the way he describes things. I thought it was gonna be funny. I wish I had like some black mascara. I would have came on here with like
Or like
that would have been great.
a platinum wig or some shit like that.
Yeah.
Like long 80s rocker hair or something.
I guess he was a boardwalk performer. Um, I think he does sword swallowing, and he does all those other kind of tricks on on Venice Beach. I think that's where he got his start from. I don't know 100%, but I think he was like a street performer,
I could
and
see
he got
that, dude. I could
famous on it.
totally see that, man.
Yeah, and I guess he was on some reality show as well, and I think that's where he got his big break, and then it kind of grew into his he called it Hyperionism. That's his sort of I don't know if it's a religion or a theory. I
See,
don't know
at
what
the
you
end
want
of
to
the
call
video,
it.
he said, "I am Hyperion." So,
Yeah, and he
yeah.
talks about math. I know he talks about how reality is mathematics, and there's some sort of mathematical equation that proves that, I don't know, the soul or that we are eternal. I forget the name of the equation, but he uses a lot of math to prove stuff.
I
And it's
love,
interesting. It's
yeah,
good. It's good stuff. I like it.
I like the challenging of, look, man, the world's fallen to shit, bro. I mean, like, as he said, there's, it's a war out there, man, and it's so many fronts, and it's scary. It's horrible. There's hatred, discord. It's and the pandemic, everything. You all know what's happening out there right now. I don't need to tell you. Like, so shit's not working, and all the antiquated practices and ways of tunneling through this experience. I mean, I love someone that blows the tunnel up, man. I love someone that, not literally, folks, relax. I love someone that just challenges the status quo, and I think he does that in a very poetic way. Smart guy, great
Yeah.
vocabulary. Introduced me to a few words that I looked up. I did not know. I had guesses, because the words have a root to them that made me say, okay, this probably means this, but I don't like to assume shit. So I looked up schemas, which is a pattern of thought or behavior that organizes categories of information and the relationships among them. Thank you for that new word that I can add to my lexicon, Mr. Morgue, if you will. And then he said dialectically, and then he said dialectics, like it's a discipline. And so I looked up
Right.
dialectics, and that opened up a whole new world. And I'll drop the link below as well. Dialectics is the method of philosophical argument. Is a method of philosophical argument. Excuse me. And there's this whole thing called Hegel's, Hegel, Hegel's dialectics. It dates back to Plato, Socrates, all that jazz. And I started reading about it. It was vaguely interesting, and I was like, all right, book note. I'll drop it in the link below. And I haven't read it yet. It might be exceptionally bland, folks. It might be extraordinarily exhilarating. I don't know, but it's new material to check out. Very old material, but I think sometimes when we go back to the old of Hegel's dialectics and we embrace the new of Morgue's reality tunnels, which wasn't even his theory. It's something that he borrowed from who are the
Timothy Leary.
right, and Robert Anton something or other. I don't know.
I don't remember what
I don't remember, but he gives them credit that they initially laid the foundation of this theory, but he also
And
says
it should be noted that Timothy Leary was the first person who introduced Richard Alpert to psychedelics. Richard Alpert being AKA Randas.
right. Yes. Noted, Bodhi Ray.
Noted.
And so he makes the claim like, hey, I appreciate their work, but they did get some things wrong, and that's fine too. We all have our opinions on right, wrong, left, right, up, down, whatever. But I think taking a look at the giant roadmap, if you will, and in the spirit of connecting the dots, and all of us, get your pens out, because it's a lifelong process, unless someone stumbles upon the grand mysteries and connects all the constellations to the pyramids and the ancient tablets and the new world age / whatever. Like, no one's got the answers, folks. We're all swimming in a sea of uncertainty, and and transversing our way through the waves of who knows, and that's life, and it's wonderful, and it's terrifying, and it's electrifying, and it's work, and it's living, and it's joy, and it's suffering, and it's the darkness. Back to the beginning of the video. It's the light, and it's all that ocean in between. And that's what this show's about, folks.
The 10,000 joys, the 10,000 joys and 10,000 sorrows. That's how they say in Buddhism. And that we take our seats and we experience it all. We live it all.
Right.
So today I got
No. Okay, folks. For those of you listening and not watching, we do a card reading every week, like an oracle card, tarot card. I'm laughing and looking up in the air because this is kind of how Ray and I met in the mighty state of Utah, which is a place I never thought that I would thoroughly enjoy. If I'm to do a tour of the United States and rank where I'm going first through last, Utah would probably be down by number 47, 48. Oh, no, not anymore. After experiencing it and being there for 2 weeks, Utah makes its way mightily up the ladder because
I love Utah.
It was a beautiful, beautiful. I had no idea. I thought all I knew of Utah was the jazz, and there's Mormons there, and it's in the middle of come on, Utah. There's nothing. Salt Lake City. That's it. No, man, Utah is gorgeous. Get there, spend some time. Oh, so good. So Ray is holding up a deck of. It's his turn this week. Last week was my turn. It's his turn. Playing cards. These are regular playing cards. And when Ray met me,
this is going to be a true channeled reading today. So you're in for a treat.
Treat us up, Ray.
You could explain more. You could explain more about Utah.
Okay, so Ray's shuffling up the deck, putting his energy into the card and the reading, which is a collective reading. We do this once a week. So if you show up to this broadcast at any time, 2 days from now, 2 years from now, this card is not just for Ray and I, but it is for all of you and you individually in the moment, because you're a match. You showed up. You're here. The card's for you, man. So in Utah, he's like, hey, you want me to do a reading? I'm like, yeah. And he's like, here, pick a card. And I'm like, is this a magic trick or a reading? It's a normal deck of cards. No one's ever done a reading for me at a normal deck of cards. But Ray did, and it was great. And you're about to experience the same. I'm going to shut up, and we'll give Ray his moments of silence and channeling and let him take it away.
I pulled a Jack of Hearts. What this card is telling me is that we all have unfinished business in our hearts. We all have stuff that's taking us out of our hearts, pulling us, emotional triggers are taking us. Kind of what I said before, how I get pulled out of my heart space sometimes by external stuff. Could be something I see on TV, the news, someone from work. It kind of takes me out of that love. So what I see is that we have some work to do with our hearts, some cleaning up to do. So I think what we need to do is be very mindful of what pulls us away from love. What takes us out of that? What puts us back into our minds, into that place of duality instead of unity? So this could be doing some shadow work. It could be just using meditation, being mindful in the moment. Comes back to mindfulness. Being mindful of your triggers. So this is the reading that I got out of this, is to work on the heart. Be mindful of what takes you out of love. So that's what I got.
Thank you, Bodhi Ray, for another beautiful card reading. I would like to say sponsored this week by, but we don't have any sponsors yet, folks. And maybe it's good that way for now. We'll deal with that chaos and that mess when the bridge presents itself. But it'll be exciting to be funded by someone or something somewhere. That'll mean that we're touching a lot of people, and that will mean that our message is strong with the force, and that people are digging what we're laying down. And yeah, well, we'll see. Patience, though, and we're in no hurry to get anywhere. We're enjoying the journey as it is right now. And
Yes.
yes, so in our hearts, in our hearts, in our hearts, in our hearts, and trying to, and how would you lace that reading that you just gave us into the theme of this episode, which is reality tunnels?
Well, there's certain things in our reality, that our experiences, like for example, trauma that we experience.
Whoa, this has never happened, folks, but we just lost Bodhi Ray for a moment. Hopefully he'll jump back in. So I'll take it over for just a few. There he is. Yay. All right. That was, my gosh, man, that was really, really scary, Ray. I've never lost you during a recording before. And like the screen just really, really big, and now you're frozen. So before we get into your explanation, let's give it a chance to reboot or whatever is happening on our technological ends here. I shut down everything in my browser, by the way, in case that last week was pulling from any Wi-Fi connections or what have you.
I don't know. Do you hear me okay now?
I hear you okay, but there's a little delay, and you're frozen on the screen. We lost him again. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. It's going to be okay, folks. This is part of the experience. My reality tunnel is getting detonated right now. But he'll be back. There he is. There he is. Hey, Randy, you'll be back. What fun with the Bodhi Bros this week. How's it? Are you good? Are you good? Are you there?
Good. I'm good.
Okay. So you were saying trauma, that's where you started breaking up. Reality tunnel, how it pertains to the Jack of Hearts.
Our reality tunnels could take us out of our hearts because we're so identified. If we're so identified with our point of view and our opinion, and somebody comes up and is a challenge to that could take us out of our hearts. Yeah, so it could be somebody who's, let's say you're a Christian and
oh my gosh, we lost him again. Summoning Ray back. Bang! There he is again, folks. It's magic.
I don't know what's going on.
There's resistance to this part of the podcast. Yes.
So just be mindful of your beliefs, your opinions, and your ideas that you identify with that creates separateness between you and somebody else. And come back to the heart, where we're all one being, where we're all just souls. So I'll just leave it at that.
That's good. Yeah.
What's going to happen next?
Yeah, I'm prepared now, though, man. I've lost you once, and I knew it was meant to be because you came back to me, or whatever the phrase is. And here again. The only thing I didn't have a lot of notes. Did you have a lot of notes? I didn't have a lot of notes.
I didn't have any notes.
I actually didn't. Sorry, stretching a little bit here. I actually didn't have any notes, and then felt bad about not having notes. So I challenged myself to get some notes. Sorry, I just need to adjust some. All right, there we go. Wardrobe. So I wrote down some things, but not many. We've already covered everything except I thought it was cool about I don't know how scientifically true this is. I didn't fact check it or anything, but that he talked about how our eyes see less than 1% of the electromagnetic spectrum of life that unfolds before us. So all of the ultraviolet rays and the other waves and frequency things, like we we don't interpret that with our eyesight. So there's so much happening around us that we are visibly unaware of, but the shit's happening. And so it was neat to pontificate on a theme of that particular poetry.
Yeah.
Not somebody you're like, yeah.
So
Didn't dazzle Ray as much as it did.
well, the thing is though, our reality tunnels just create narrow-mindedness, and the more that that we're attached to our opinions and our beliefs and our paradigms of how we think the world is, our reality gets smaller. Just how it is. And a lot of times doing these spiritual practices, doing meditation and doing this work, that's what expands our consciousness. That's what kind of gets us outside of that tunnel, or maybe finally breaks it free. So there's also interesting too, there's a quote, an Indian quote that says, when a pickpocketer meets a saint, he sees only his pockets. And so that kind of reminds me of a little bit that this video kind of reminded me of that quote, how we view things through our reality. We only, someone who's a pickpocketer, somebody whose desire is money to get that, they come across a saint, they're only going to see his pockets. They're not going to see him for who he is, because their mind is so focused on that reality of getting something, their desires to obtain. So, and then it kind of says how our thoughts create our reality.
Do you think that in this, in a simply stated way, that Morgue was just challenging everyone in this video to just see outside of your experience and into that of others? Could we have just summed up the video like that?
Yeah. Basically, it's
is
just
it
kind of.
Does it go deeper than that? Does it go deeper than that? Like, I'm not making fun of him or the video at all. For the rec, folks, pay attention. I'm loving the Morgue. That really doesn't sound fun at all. But Hyperion, and whatever else he said at the end was an interesting closing too. I forgot to write that down, or look it up what it meant, but I will. Is because that's what I really felt. I felt like in a very complicated way, he was simplistically saying, like, we're all doing this. Like I said at the beginning of our broadcast here, la 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 la, blinders. Just like let the blinders down and take a look to your right, take a look to your left, and say howdy to your neighbor. I kept seeing, for me, the visual, especially when you're watching something. This wasn't a long video. It was only like 18 minutes, folks. If you haven't watched it yet, it goes by pretty quick. Oh, we lost Ray. So I'll talk about this. So what I was seeing during Ray's absence and during this video, when I watch a video of one person, maybe sometimes I dissociate or I drift for a moment and create my own little, fantasy universe or safe haven if I need to. We're like water slides. So I just envision us all in this like intricate world of our own water slides made of different materials and heading to different places, but being able to look, to my left and to my right and seeing someone taking their ride and being like, wow, that's fun. Or I wonder what their world looks like. And anywhere I've traveled in this world and intend to, when this thing gets restarted again and we're able to do that, I'm always looking for the poetry, what I call the poetry of the people. And even quite literally in some cities, I'll go to poetry slams, I'll go to, because the poets, they will, breathe the breath of their city into and through your lungs quite beautifully if you allow them to. And I used to hang out with poets a lot, still do when I can. And, open mics, stuff like that really is a great way to be introduced to a city. especially if someone's sharing some work that is relative to that specific city, if you're lucky enough. But just talking with those people before the event or after the event is a neat way to see where their water slides have taken them, and how your experience in their particular slice of the universe might be able to be opened up to you, should you be open to the different tunnels. I don't know. But yeah, just seeking the poetry of the people. When I was up in Canada, talking to each and every store clerk, and not bothering them, but connecting with them, and asking them personal questions in ways that might, lead me to more deeply enjoying the place that they probably love, unless they feel a slave to their particular environment, and then they'll let you know. But yeah, I think that's what I kept seeing and hearing. Like we always talk about pulling something from each video, and for me, it was a reminder to, as difficult it is right now with all of us wearing masks and not being able to see each other's mouths and full expressions and stuff like that, but we can still talk to each other. We can still connect with our eyes. We can still be humane to one another, and cherish that connectivity and seek it out in a socially distancing, acceptable, and respectable way, whether we're doing it in person or online. Still seeking out the poetry of the people and each other, and allowing ourselves to gravitate beyond chit chat and the small talk, and really see into each other's tunnels. Because in the tunnel, there's darkness and there is light and there's everything in between, man. And I appreciate you bringing this this video to us, even though it wasn't, again, one of our favorites. I still think it opened doors for both of us. And
Definitely. And to me, it just kind of showed that we all have our differences. We all have our unique perspectives, our struggles, our desires. And but you don't have to identify with that stuff. I could have a difference, me and you could have a difference in something, in a belief, but it doesn't stop me from feeling love for you, seeing you as a human being, seeing you as a soul. So just don't be identified with your differences. Have your judgments, have your beliefs, but still see everybody as a part of a collective of unity as human beings, and still have that respect for other people. And like Kabir said, that quote, like I think we've said it before in a video, is, you do what you do with another being, but you don't kick them out of your heart. So you could disagree, you could protest, argue, but at the end of the day, keep that love.
Let's drive that point home, Ray, because that's beautifully said, and like so pertinent to the times presently right now. So much division and so much fear, so more than I've ever experienced in my 46 years on this planet, and it's terrifying. And I think that's superiorly important right now, if not should be the number one thing, is what you just said. And we're not all going to agree, because there's so many things right now to disagree on, and that's okay. And nobody's wrong, nobody's right, nobody knows the ultimate answers. Yes, 2 + 2 is 4. We can agree on that. Thank you, Morgue. But there are things right now that there's not exact science on. There is not exact vision of a future unfolding. There are so many questions and so many theories and so many conspiracies and so many, and it's okay if you believe that and you believe that. You're not right, you're not wrong. Let's hear each other. Let's find that common ground, because it's there if you're willing to see it and feel it, and bring yourself toward that uncomfortable state of not agreeing but listening. I
Right.
feel, gosh, man, I feel like we need that more than ever right now, and it is difficult. It is, and right now, especially with people you don't know. But
Right.
like, let's listen. Let's listen. Let's listen. Let's be kind, please. Please be kind. We're not all gonna.
I think this is a good place to end it.
Yes.
And then,
Yes. 407, up in the 407. What? It's the perfect place. For those of you who don't know, that's an area code in Orlando. Repeat, Orlando. It's not 407 your time, is it?
yeah, it is.
Are we in the
Yeah.
same? We're in the same time zone. Sometimes I think you're an hour behind for some reason.
I know. I always thought that too, but
Okay. So, all right. Well, folks, extreme, supreme. I don't know what else rhymes with that. Thanks, and appreciation for listening, watching, sharing, liking, ringing that notification bell. Please, 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 and thank you, thank you, thank you. If you have ideas, as Ray always lets us know, let us know.
let us know.
Whom to review, what to watch, things to consider, and drop your comments. And Ray, you got any closing remarks? I'll let you take us home, man. Then I will shut her down.
Just want to say thank you for everyone who's been supporting us along the way, watching our videos, giving us those likes. Please, if there's anyone you want us to watch, review, let us know. We're open to anyone. And thank you very much. That's all I got. Till next week, I'm Bodhi Ray.
I'm Bodhi John with a J. Stay tuned for episode 11 next week.